Tea is a warm beverage enjoyed by millions daily. But can you imagine it being the cause of a war between two great empires? Join us as we take you through a historic conflict. One that began with tea and opium, ultimately leading to a devastating war between two powerful empires. By the early 18th century, tea had become a daily staple for both British aristocrats and the general public. Whether in the drawing rooms of England's elite or in the humble homes of the working class, tea was loved everywhere. To meet the rising demand, Britain had to import tea on a massive scale. And all of it came from China. Click on the iCard to learn about the discovery of tea and how it spread across Europe. However, there was a problem. China was a self-sufficient, closed-off economic empire largely isolated from the rest of the world. The Chinese government showed little interest in foreign goods and accepted only silver in exchange for their tea, silk, and porcelain. British products weren't particularly appealing to China. So, Britain had to send large amounts of silver to pay for the tea. This caused a growing trade deficit. The situation started placing a strain on Britain's treasury. An urgent solution to the ever-increasing trade imbalance was needed. The growing trade deficit with China sparked serious debates in Britain's halls of power. Soon, British merchants got wind of the situation. At the time, the British East India Company had established dominance in India. In India, vast amounts of opium were cultivated. Although British traders were already involved in opium trading, most of it was shipped to England and other destinations. But this new crisis made merchants reconsider their approach. They devised a new plan: smuggling opium into China to create an addiction among the population. Soon, this plan began to succeed. The deadly spread of opium addiction took hold in Chinese society. Large portions of the population became hooked on the drug. Silver began flowing back from China to Britain. Although the British government was aware of this, the return of silver in exchange for tea made them reluctant to take serious action. The government chose to turn a blind eye. The opium trade continued to grow rapidly. Eventually, the Chinese government could no longer ignore the growing crisis. By the late 1830s, opium addiction in China had escalated to a national crisis. At that time, Emperor Daoguang ruled China, a vast empire even larger than today's China. He was deeply troubled by the devastation caused by the opium trade. It was destroying the social and economic fabric of the country. The increasing number of addicts had become a major concern for the government. Not only was opium wreaking havoc on public health, but it was also draining China's silver reserves, weakening the country's economy. Emperor Daoguang appointed a capable official, Lin Zexu, to take charge of the crisis. Lin Zexu initiated strong actions against opium smuggling and usage. He confiscated and destroyed opium stocks from British traders. In 1839, Lin Zexu took bold action in Canton, Guangzhou, by seizing nearly 20,000 chests of opium, weighing around 1,200 tons, and dumping them into the sea. This was an extraordinary move. It dealt a heavy financial blow to the British traders, escalating tensions between the two nations. Since Britain was a major power at the time, they viewed this act as an attack on their trade. Britain formally declared war, marking the beginning of the First Opium War, so named because another opium war would follow later. At the time, Queen Victoria ruled Britain. Her empire had grown significantly thanks to the Industrial Revolution. The British government saw China's anti-opium measures as a direct assault on their commercial interests. Queen Victoria authorized the war. Britain's policy was to maintain dominance over trade and naval superiority at any cost. Under the leadership of Admiral George Eliot and Henry Pottinger, British forces advanced towards China. A bloody conflict ensued lasting 3 years. Despite being a powerful empire, China lagged far behind Britain in military technology. China suffered heavy losses and surrendered several territories. This forced China to negotiate peace, resulting in a humiliating treaty known as the Treaty of Nanking. 1. Hong Kong was ceded to British control. 2. 5 major Chinese ports were opened for British trade. 3. China had to pay a substantial indemnity in silver. This treaty severely compromised China's sovereignty. It opened the doors to increased Western influence. The British Empire's grip tightened over China, and its economic position further deteriorated. By 1850, Emperor Daoguang passed away and his son Emperor Xianfeng took the throne. During his reign, the Chinese Empire faced internal rebellions, the most notable being the Taiping Rebellion. These uprisings weakened China even further. Britain, sensing an opportunity, began demanding more concessions from China. When these demands were repeatedly rejected, Britain waited for the right moment to strike again. This came in 1856. In that year, Chinese officials seized a British ship named Arrow in Canton, accusing the crew of piracy. The British saw this as an affront to their sovereignty. They declared war again. This time, France also joined the fight. A brutal war, known as the Second Opium War, or Arrow War, raged for 4 years. China suffered heavy losses. Once again, China had to negotiate peace, resulting in the Convention of Peking, another humiliating treaty. 1. China was forced to open more ports to British, French, American, and Russian traders. 2. The opium trade was legalized, benefiting British merchants. 3. Foreign powers were allowed to establish diplomatic missions in Beijing. 4. Britain gained control over the Kowloon Peninsula, now part of Hong Kong. The Second Opium War was a significant turning point in Chinese history. It further exposed the Qing Empire's weakness. It allowed Western powers to establish a stronger foothold in the country. This period of subjugation is still remembered in China today as the Century of Humiliation. This concludes our brief yet comprehensive look at the Opium Wars. Let us know what you think in the comments. Click the end screen video to learn about another war sparked by tea. Don't forget to subscribe for more intriguing historical content. Thank you.